And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Wednesday, December 14th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome Wednesday morning. And we welcome Bob McDonald right here live in studio to talk about Cedar Stone Bank. Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson, Simple Banking, simply better. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you.
Great to be with you. Great to be with you live here in Studio B. Thanks for always accommodating me when I need to call in.
Well, either way, we get along just fine and have a good conversation and let everybody know, among other things, what's happening at Cedar Stone Bank.
Yeah. Well, it's a busy time of year. We're wrapping up the year. What do we have? Just a little over 2 weeks left. And it's time of year, Coleman, when we start reflecting back on the current, on the year that we're wrapping up, but we also spend a lot of time preparing for the new year. So that's where we are right now. And we've had a really good year this year, Coleman. I'd say it's probably our best year ever. And
it's good to hear.
Yes, we're real pleased with how the year has turned out, and we have high expectations for 2023.
But you do plan ahead, and that's part of being in banking, isn't it? You think ahead, you plan ahead.
It's very much part of it. We're always in year one of a 3-year business plan, so we're always looking out at least 3 years, and so we'll be wrapping that up this week. We'll have our final board meeting of the year next Tuesday, at which time we'll be presenting our business plan for the next 3 years, and so that always gets a good discussion and conversation. So we're looking forward to wrapping that up. Of course, coming a lot of what we've been working on the last year, and as we move into our new years, is interest rates, and we'll segue into that. You know, the Federal Reserve is meeting today and tomorrow for their final meeting of the year, at which time they're expected to raise interest rates again. They're expected to raise them 0.5 point. As you know, when they started raising rates earlier in the year, back in May, I believe, their first bump was 0.5 point, and then they had 4 consecutive 0.75 point bumps. So it's been unprecedented that we've seen rates increase this much, this quickly. But we've all responded to it, and it's good for our depositors. They're seeing an improved rate on their money market and their CD rates. Of course, loan rates increase as well, but loan rates are still very good. They're still very competitive and still very good for those who need to borrow, and still very low compared to historical averages.
When you look at the history, or go back 40, 50 years and look at what interest rates were, and there's been times when what they are now would have been considered very low.
Exactly. Yeah. We hear that comment made a lot. I mean, a lot of folks, you and I remember back in the late 70s when rates were 18, 19%.
Yes.
Of course, that was good for your depositors, but it was tough for folks who were trying to borrow money. But Coleman, we've not, and there's so much discussion about, are we in a recession or are we not? By definition, we are in a recession because we've had 2 consecutive quarters with negative economic growth. But I think that definition is starting to change a little bit because there's still a lot of health out in the economy. Wages are good, employment is good, retail sales is good, consumer confidence remains good. Even though mortgage rates are higher, there's still homes being sold and homes being refinanced and homes being renovated. So we're just as busy as we were earlier in the year before rates started increasing. So it's hard for us to say that we're in a recession. And
well, I think one thing's for sure, and especially in this part of the country, anybody that wants a job can find a job. Now, it may not be exactly what they want, but they can be employed.
Well, you're exactly right. And you know, the stat is still correct, meaning that there are twice as many jobs available as there are those looking for a job. Now, you're right. It might not be the job you're looking for, but if you want a job, you've got 2 jobs out there waiting on you, not just one.
That's interesting, too.
Yep.
Well, are you ready to talk about free checking?
Let's do it. It's been a good year for our Simply Free Checking account, too, Coleman, which, as you know, is the foundation of our bank. And it's been our free checking has been that way from day one since we opened in April of 2004. It's completely free checks, free online banking with bill pay. You can bank with us in any way that you prefer. You can still come in the bank, see our great people. and cash a check and open your account that way, or you can do your banking electronically. You know, we have telephone banking, we have online banking, we have mobile deposit with your phone. So whether you want to come see us, come in our beautiful building, see our great folks, or we have all the technology for those who want to do their banking that way.
Well, if I could take 10 seconds and put in a plug for the Lions Club pecans, which
Please
are
do.
selling here in Lebanon.
I should have opened with that and end with that.
Well, just remind everybody.
I
think
hope
you
we're
still got
doing
plenty.
well. I hope
If
we're
you,
selling
if
some.
you run out, I've got some more in the trunk of my car.
We know
so.
who to call. Thanks for letting us be a part of that.
Well, Bob, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Coleman. See you then.
Bob McDonald, he's President, Chief Executive Officer, that's CEO, Cedar Stone Bank, Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson. Simple banking, simply better. And that takes us to right now, 10 minutes after the hour, and it's Cumberland Day on Coleman and Company. Rusty Richardson is here with a guest this morning. Rusty, first of all, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
Nice to see you again. And if you don't remember his title, and it's kind of a long one, but Rusty is Executive Director of Community Relations and External Affairs, which covers a big area.
We are a lot of hats under that title.
Well, it's always good to have you, and I think we've had some wonderful programs about Cumberland, and give you credit for that. You choose whomever you want to come out, and depending on the time of the year and what's happening as to who you might bring. But you've got an interesting one this morning who's been here at least once or twice before, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let's get started with you because the fall semester is complete.
The fall semester is complete. Students had their last of their finals last Thursday. So that wrapped up the fall semester. And the winter term, which is a short term that we do because they have such a long winter break, it didn't start until this Monday. So they had a whole 2 days, 3 days off if they were doing the winter term. But that started and it's a great way because it is a long break. They don't come back for the spring semester until January 17th. So it gives them a chance to get some hard courses out of the way, or if they need to do a little remediation on a course, just a great opportunity for them.
Well, you do take advantage of time. You use your time wisely, I think, the way things are set up. And people, there's no demand to do this, but those who are wise, especially in some situations, probably really need it and take advantage of it.
Yes, it's a great opportunity for them to kind of either jump ahead in their schedule or sometimes catch up in their schedule, depending on the student. So, but we offer a number of programs during that winter term. And again, that started just 2 days ago. So
Is it too late to get into that?
I believe if they contacted admissions, they might still find a place for that. So or for that student.
All right.
But they've got to hurry because it is a short term.
Yeah, better get on it today if you're interested.
Absolutely.
And you had a concert last week, maybe two
We
or
were
three, I think.
we were so glad that after a 2-year, 3-year, really, if you look at the calendars, that the Burt Coble Singers were able to return to Baird Chapel and do their annual Christmas concerts. They performed on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, sellout crowds every night, and just it really starts the Christmas season for us because it's such a wonderful Christmas concert, and they help a number of charities in town, a number of nonprofits, and just so appreciate what they did and what they continue to do in memory of Burt Coble.
Well, due to the fact that they're sold out, I mean that says a lot. And then they're probably the more people that are there, maybe a few can be a little more generous in what the price of admission is. So these charities do well.
Yes, they do very well, and it's all because of the mission of the Burt Coble Singers is to be a community choral group, and they've been doing these concerts now for over 30 years. And we so missed them in 2020 and 21 when they couldn't perform because of COVID. So it's great to have them back.
A couple of minutes before we go to our break, so why don't you introduce the lady who is sitting with us this morning?
Sure, it's my pleasure to reintroduce Ms. Katie Wolf. Katie is a Cumberland graduate, a Cumberland alumnus, and she serves as the university's Director of Annual Giving.
Well, Katie, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is nice to see you today, and in a moment we're going to be going to a break. But from your point of view, how are things going?
Things are going great at Cumberland, and I think Rusty does a great job at conveying that to your audience. Things are busy. We are getting to the end of the year, and we're focusing on our end of year giving with the Giving Week.
All right. We got just time to tell everybody, when is Giving Week?
Yes, so Giving Week is Monday, December 26th through Saturday, December 31st.
So that would be in 2 weeks, I believe.
Correct.
Right. Well, we'll talk more about that after we go to our break here, ways to give and several other things that you've got on your list to talk about. And then Rusty's got a lot of closing comments this morning. For you, if you don't know, Rusty does a wonderful job in preparing what we're going to talk about. So all I have to do is just keep up with the list here. But anyway, stay with us for more. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And at 7:14, let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford and the regular oil change, $34.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal. 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Morning, wrapping up this crash over here on 440 eastbound off-ramp onto Murphy Road, West End. Traffic's picking up even more of that heavy volume on I-40 coming through Wilson County. 24 is pretty crowded westbound and through the Hickory Hollow area as you come through Laverne, Smyrna, coming out of Rutherford County, headed towards Nashville. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is catering during the holiday season. Check out that menu, princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We all like to save money, and State Farm can help with discounts. When you combine your car insurance with State Farm homeowner insurance, you get big savings. So talk to me, Jeff Gannon, in Lebanon or Mount Juliet. State Farm Good Neighbor Service that has made us America's #1 insurance company. Together, we can help you make sure you get the discounts you deserve and the coverage you need. Come see me, Jeff Gannon, in Lebanon or Mount Juliet, and find out why more homeowners and drivers trust State Farm than any other insurance company.
Middle Tennessee's largest, longest running, and most affordable holiday tradition, the Dancing Lights of Christmas, is now open with new lights and new music so you can create some new Christmas memories. For 2.5 miles, your family will be captivated as you watch over 2 million lights dance perfectly in sync to rockin' Christmas tunes, all from inside the comfort of your own vehicle. Stop by Santa's Village for food and fun, pictures with Santa, even a helicopter ride above the lights. 5 p.m. nightly at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. More info at thedancinglightsofchristmas.com.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. Our program, first half today at least, features Cumberland University. We actually do this once a month, and Rusty Richardson's with us each time, Executive Director of Community Relations and External Affairs. And with us this morning, Katie Wolf, who is Director of Annual Giving. And it was time for us to go to a break, and we just sort of got started, Katie, but you were telling me during the break here, you've been at Cumberland, at least in this position, about a year.
Yes.
So you've got your feet wet, as we say sometimes.
As they say, let's hope. Let's hope. But it's been great, Coleman. I'm really lucky to be back at Cumberland. Graduating from there and then being able to work there has been pretty awesome.
Well, December 26th through December 31st has been designated Giving Week. There are a number of ways to give, I suppose, and you probably want to tell us all of those this morning.
Yes, and so Coleman, at the end of the year, we're often reminded of, what we have, and, we're reminded of the importance of giving back to others. And so our Giving Week is designed to sort of celebrate philanthropy and what it means. And so we're trying to beat our goal of last Giving Week, and that was $35,000. So we're trying to beat that this year. And the money goes towards scholarships, student resources, campus expansion, so much more. And our students are, people who are very dedicated to their degree. And they also, once they graduate, they go out into the community and they make it better. We just had a ribbon cutting for an alum yesterday who opened up a business in Lebanon, and we're just so proud of our alums. And so there's so many ways that people can invest in Cumberland University, and we're always, here to help if anybody has any questions. You can go to cumberland.edu/rise together, and there's a button on there if you want to participate in our Giving Week. We also have stock transfers. We can take those as well. ACH and bank transfers, we can do those as well. We're happy to help with that. And then estate gifts as well. A lot of donors have been so gracious to write us into their wills, and just thinking about us means so much. So there's lots of ways to give, and we're just so thankful for all of our donors. They've been so generous with us, and, I think the product is our students.
Well, another thing at this time of year, most people, when they file their federal income tax, it is for the calendar year of 2022, which will be paid next April, or if you get an extension a little bit later. But most of the things you have to have in place by the end of the calendar year. And so a lot of times people use that opportunity to get an idea of where they are, how much maybe they can give, how much, and so that is done by December 31st. So I think you've got Giving Week right at the right time.
We hope so. We hope so.
Well, as far as a couple of other things I think you want to talk about, January 27th is the date for the baseball dinner and auction.
Yes, so we're excited about that. So this dinner and auction will be in January, and it's going to be open to all current players, our alums, and their families. And so tickets are $25 per person, and the money simply goes to improving the program. Our baseball team is incredible, and under the direction of Coach Ryan and Coach Woody Hunt, they have been able to have so many successes, and we're so proud of them. And
we really are. I don't remember the years, but there are 3 times they have been national NAIA champs, 3 times. And I'm hoping we're going to get a 4th while Woody is still around, so that we can have a father and son who have been national champs. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it, Rusty?
It would be wonderful. The last time they won was 2014, so they're due. It's that time to do that again.
We're going to be doing more about that dinner and auction next month. So, in fact, I'll go ahead and spill this a little bit. We're going to have one day here that's dedicated totally to that. So
that's awesome.
Stay tuned, as we say. Okay, renovations to Noakes Laster football field.
Yes. So after our successful Tim Tebow event that we had in October, we are continuing to renovate our Noakes Lassiter football field. And this is really going to help, obviously our football program, but the community as well. We have so many people that come out to the community to help support our team. And so some of the renovations that we can talk about are, turf, new sidewalks, a pavilion, locker rooms, new fencing, and a jumbotron. And so all of these things are going to just give it a great facelift and really just be, sort of a pillar in the community that everyone can enjoy.
Rusty, I don't think you're in recruiting, but, and Katie, I mean, you would appreciate this too, of course, but when you do renovation, you improve the locker room, you change the turf, maybe artificial turf, I think, that speaks volumes to prospective players and recruits, does it not?
Absolutely does, and you can rest assured they're showing that off already of what's already there and what's to come.
Yeah, and really, I don't know whose idea this was, but when Lebanon High moved from their old school over to Hartman Drive. Okay, we all know where it is. Sometimes I forget the street name, but they didn't. We're not going to use that football field anymore. And Cumberland jumped at the opportunity, and I think that is, as we say, that's been a feather in your cap.
Very much so, and we so appreciate the school board at the time allowing us to get a long-term lease on that facility, and we've done major upgrades since then. And those upgrades will continue as we go into the next year.
Yeah, and I think at the time, and it's improved now, greatly improved, but even at the time, it was considered one of the better football stadiums in high school. So,
yes, it was, absolutely. And it was so much larger than the stadium we had on campus where we traditionally played football. It was just a great win-win for both sides.
Okay, well, Katie Wolf, anything else you want to say about giving? Again, Giving Week, December 26th through the 31st, right at the end of the year. Just to remind people, don't forget Cumberland, right?
Yeah, and we would be honored to have your support. And, we're so thankful for everyone who's given this year. And we would love it if if you considered us again.
If somebody has some questions, now, a lot of people are going to have a financial advisor, I suppose, that they would go to, but there might be a few times when they do have some questions that you can help them with, or somebody on staff at Cumberland.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, you can definitely email advancement.cumberland.edu. And we'll definitely get with you. And, we have a whole team dedicated to, helping with transactions or however you want to give.
So this is something you do on a regular basis. I
Yes.
take it.
Yes.
Yeah. We got about 5 minutes left, Rusty. You want to do your closing comments? Anything else you want to say, or Katie? Anything else you got for us?
I do have one little thing. So we have our Phoenix Rising magazine coming out soon to a select group of folks, and we're actually debuting the digital version via email to all of our Cumberland folks. And so we're excited to share that with everyone. Our community, our communications and marketing team has worked really hard on it, and so you can look for that in the next week or two.
Phoenix Rising magazine.
That's right.
All right. Sounds like a winner. Rusty, wrap it up.
Yes, sir. As Bob McDonald said earlier, this is the time of the year where many of us look back on the last year and reflect on, the wins, the losses, the accomplishments, and certainly we do that a lot at Cumberland, as we, just like Bob talked about, having a business plan looking ahead 3 years. We're looking ahead, but we're also looking back and taking a lot of pride in what's been accomplished this past year. And if you let me talk for the entire second half of the show, I could go through all the lists, but just a couple of quick items to remind your listeners some of the great things that have happened at Cumberland this year. We completed the Memorial Hall entrance, which was a long project, started back in June and actually completed in September. Just a great addition to how people see the university when they first come to campus.
Aren't you really pleased and proud of that?
Absolutely, and we're so grateful to the family, the Oakleys, that made that gift, that made that possible. And of course, now it's the Oakley School of Humanity, Education, and the Arts with a very generous gift. And so we're so appreciative of that. We just announced that the infield turf for the baseball field is complete. That was one of Woody and Ryan's big projects for the year. It's now complete, so when they open the spring season, they'll have a turf infield at baseball. The return to Symphony on the Lawn back in June after a 3-year hiatus with COVID. We think it was the largest crowd ever in the 30-plus years that's been going on. Sports teams had a remarkable fall. We had a number of conference championships, women's soccer, volleyball, and the list of sports. And many people don't realize often we offer 27 different sports at Cumberland. Both men's and women's.
Some of them get more publicity.
Yeah, some certainly get more publicity than others. In fact, when Paul Stum gives quizzes to groups, he'll often ask them which sports team has won the most national championships. And most people get it wrong because they assume it's baseball, but actually our wrestling program has 5 national champions.
Really?
That's a
good trivia question.
Yes, it is. So you've got that. We're so very proud that our year-over-year enrollment increased. It didn't increase as much as we wanted it to, but it was an increase. And when we compare our data to those from other schools around the state of Tennessee, the majority of other schools had a decrease in enrollment this last fall. The vast majority. There were only a few that actually could report increases, and Cumberland's very happy that we're one of those few. So you had that. Science lab upgrades, that's been an ongoing project, and more of that's going on literally as we speak right now. Of course, I have to look at MJ when I say this. Tim Tebow was there in October for homecoming. Just a great community event, a great event for our students and our student athletes. And just, he gave a remarkable talk, several talks actually, and just a great day for Cumberland that day.
You really got a lot of, let's say, publicity mileage out of that one.
We got tremendous mileage out of that, and we think that will help us to continue to increase enrollment. Mm-hmm. because when students find out we're doing those types of programs on campus, suddenly that school that some of them may have never heard of before, well, wait a minute, they're doing some pretty neat things there. We need to consider that. So we had that, along with hundreds of events on campus. People would be amazed at the number of events that are held for our students and also members of the community. In fact, one day last week, Baird Chapel got turned over 3 times in the same day with events in there. They had a breakfast event, a lunch event, and an evening event, and that's inviting members of the community in, plus events for our students, faculty, and staff. So again, just a very active campus. The largest graduating class ever back last May, and we expect it to be even larger this next year. And most importantly, and this kind of trumps everything else, is what we're able to provide to our students. A good, high quality, very personal education. We're changing the trajectory of their lives. And of all the things we could list of things that happened at Cumberland this last year, the 2,600 students that were here this fall, they've been changed for the better. Now, it's been a struggle for some of them, but they've been changed for the better. So, and we take great pride in that fact that because we have so many first-generation students, because we have so many financial aid programs to help them experience the college, have a college experience, it's just a great way to really change their future and change it for the better.
All right, we're about out of time here, but Katie Wolf, Director of Annual Giving, thanks for being with us today, and a reminder that Giving Week is December 26th through the 31st, right? Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Coleman.
And Rusty, thank you as always.
Thank you, Coleman. We'll see you in the new year.
All right, that's going to do it for part 1, but we've got more. Please keep it here, FM 98.9.
And it's 7:31. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota. Write it off the lot. Write it off your taxes. Visit Absolute Kubota. Take advantage of the Section 179 tax deduction when you buy new Kubota construction equipment, tractors, RTVs, hay tools, or turf products. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We just watched THP move an accident out of your way in Rutherford County. It's 24 westbound at Walden Road. It was out there long enough to slow down that traffic flow, leaving Rutherford County headed towards Nashville. Again, that's 24 westbound at Walden Road on a crash over to the side. It's busy out here where you would expect, leaving Mount Juliet area on I-40 headed towards Nashville. Wrapping up that wreck on that ramp, 440 eastbound ramp onto Murphy Road West End. Hey, Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. Check them out today at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck, you're on-time traffic.
This is Bob McDonald with Cedar Stone Bank. For 17 years now, we've been serving our communities in Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Donaldson. We can serve you in the way that best fits your needs. We have all the banking technology, we have beautiful buildings, but more importantly, we have great people. On behalf of our board of directors, I thank you for banking with us. If you don't currently bank with us, please come by and visit us in any of our locations. It would be our pleasure to talk with you about how simple banking is simply better.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Mayor Rick Bell.
And I'm Sarah Haston, your Economic Development Director for the City of Lebanon.
And we're asking each of you to shop Lebanon this Christmas season.
Are you ready for the hustle and bustle, Mayor?
Absolutely. 'Tis the season, and I'm ready to get everyone checked off my list by shopping Lebanon and shopping small.
Well, it's definitely important to support our Lebanon business community.
Indeed. Our Lebanon businesses are the backbone of our community, and they support us all year.
That's right. Let's show some local love at Christmas. We are asking everyone to commit to give back by shopping your local retailers here in Lebanon.
Have a Merry Christmas from all of us at the City of Lebanon.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Hi, I'm Mark Hinesley, president of the Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce. What are your favorite small businesses or restaurants in Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Watertown? TNCommunity.com can give you local places for all of your shopping needs this season.
Hi, I'm Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce, and I invite everyone to visit the website TNCommunity.com. If you're a business in Wilson County, we want to promote you. If you're a consumer in Wilson County, we encourage you to shop, eat, and play all day, every day.
9 local banks join forces again by partnering with all 3 chambers and plan to execute the TN Community Initiative, encouraging you to shop small businesses.
Please choose which participating businesses you want to support. Check out Shop, Eat, and Play businesses in Lebanon,
Mount Juliet,
and Watertown.
Every business was a small business. Let's support our community by coming together to support our friends and neighbors. Pick up your bucks at any participating bank location. For more information regarding the TN Community Initiative, call any Chamber of Commerce in Wilson County.
It's going to be a wet drive to work and a wet drive home. We are looking at widespread rain throughout the day and a high of 58 degrees. And since the ground is already pretty saturated, watch out for any localized flooding or ponding in spots that don't drain well. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number 1 Ned.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part 2. Here on this Wednesday morning, we're ready to talk about Herc Rentals, 1325 West Main in Lebanon. And Dave Hurst is with us this morning. Dave is the assistant branch manager. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Just having a good conversation with you here.
We are.
we weren't talking about Herc Rentals, but we will now. Keith Ely, of course, is the area manager, and Dave is the assistant branch manager. You can go to their website, hercrentals.com, and find everything that's available. You can actually rent it online.
That
now,
is correct.
And that's
yes.
something you couldn't do before it became
correct.
Rentals.
Yes.
But it is an equipment and tool rental outlet, and I'm just wondering, how busy are you on a rainy day?
Well, today we're a little bit slow. I mean, that's kind of how it is when it's going to be raining and wet out. But I mean, we still have a lot of work to do in house. Just servicing equipment. Our fleet has gotten significantly bigger. So yesterday we had techs out on site. We had a job site locally here. We have, I think, about 17 pieces of equipment on site. So all that stuff comes around, annual inspections, servicing. So they were out busy doing that. So there's always work to be done.
There is so much. Almost any business that is flourishing, there's so much to do, but and so much that doesn't meet the eye of the general public. They don't realize what all goes on in the background.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. But you are staying busy. We got adequate personnel to take care of people's needs, and that's the important thing.
Correct. Yeah. And then the one thing I did want to point out while I'm here, that this coming Saturday will be the last Saturday we'll be open for the year. Because we do have Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve fall on a Saturday, so we'll be closed. And then we will also have made the decision to be closed on Saturdays until about the beginning of March.
Okay.
So going forward. So
just sort of a heads up here. Yep. Get it done by Friday afternoon.
That's right, Friday by 5.
But you can. What about weekend rental? How do you do?
Yes, you can. We'll still offer the weekend rental, so you can pick it up on a Friday afternoon, keep it all weekend, return Monday morning at 8:00. So that will not change. And also on everything that we do, we have a 1-800 number. If you're having issues with your equipment during the weekend, call it. It'll probably come to my cell phone. I'll talk with the customer. We'll figure out what the problem is, and we can dispatch a tech. So
HercRentals.com, and that really is a good place to start, but we want you to remember the phone number because a lot of times there are questions to ask. 615-443-RENT, and that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed, yep.
443-RENT. Now, I know you've been talking about propane. That's still a big item?
Yes, that is still a big item for us. We've had a lot of people in this week, and I imagine they're calling for below 10, at least 10 to 15 degrees below average temperatures next week. So I imagine we'll be pretty busy next week.
So keep that in mind. You need propane, you can get it at Herc Rentals.
That's correct, yes.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, yeah.
Well, another thing I think we've mentioned too, if people need to get up high. You need a piece of equipment to get you up to the roof or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Decorating.
We've got it from aerial lifts to, we've got some new bulldozers in. We've got some trucks for rent, dump trucks. And another thing that I probably should point out, we actually have a list right now of about 15 pieces that we're actually looking to sell. So if you're looking for some used equipment, we actually did create a list that is going live as of today, where we'll have about 10 pieces that we're looking to move out of our fleet.
Well, you would rather sell it before it gets old and obsolete, and so no doubt a lot of life left in
Correct.
this.
Yeah, we basically have a formula that we use, and so based on years and hours, where we like to get it off when it's still performing good, and but it's time to turn it over.
Well, and here again, if you think about it, if you buy a piece of that, you're not going to use it every day, but it's there, something that you would need from time to time, wouldn't have to rent necessarily, and something you'd like to get rid of before it is too old to sell.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, really.
It is, yes, yeah.
Well, anything else you got for us this morning, Dave?
I'm just want to talk about, that will be a big change. You're not being open on Saturdays. We've never done that before, up until time change in March. And then obviously just letting people know that we do have some equipment for sale.
Yeah.
So,
Well, just keep that in mind. From now until March, not open on Saturday. So
Correct.
Get it done by Friday afternoon. But you got the whole weekend. Bring it back on Monday. One other thing we might mention quickly here, because I know this is important. People who don't have the means to transport that equipment, you will deliver it, come pick it up when they're through for a nominal charge.
that is correct. Yes, we actually just have hired a new driver. So he just finished all his training and everything. So we've got a full-time driver, and then we've actually hired one more driver in Nashville. So we've got a good pool of guys that we're able to pull to make that happen.
Well,
So,
it sounds like things are going well, and we appreciate your visit this
yes,
morning.
thank you, Coleman. Good to see you
All right.
again.
Dave Hurst, Assistant Branch Manager, Herc Rentals, 1325 West Main. Phone number 615-443-RENT. And, of course, their website is hercrentals.com. Okay, we are 20 minutes before the hour, and I am going to the telephone right now. And I have a friend who's on the other end of the line who is in San Diego, I understand. And his name is Jim Jewell. Jim, are you there?
I'm right here, Cole.
It is good to hear your voice, and it's certainly wonderful to have you with me as my guest this morning. Now, we're going to talk about a book that you have written, but before we do that, I think it would only be proper for us to tell the listening audience here a little bit about you. You grew up in Lebanon. You went to Castle Heights Military Academy. Back in the middle 60s, you worked out here at WCOR. You and I became friends. You worked FM mostly on the weekends. I worked AM. We got to know each other quite well. And when you decided to go into the Navy, you sold me your golf clubs. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I still have that putter, Jim. I don't use it much anymore, but it's in my bag. Kind of to remember you, I guess. But you've had quite a career, and in addition to the Navy and of course growing up and working here and everything, you managed to write a column for the Lebanon Democrat for several years, and I think you called it maybe the Greetings from the Southwest Corner or something like that, but mostly what you talked about was growing up here in Lebanon and different people that you associated with. It was a wonderful column. I looked forward to it each time. You're not doing that anymore, but you did take time out to write a book, which we're going to be talking about. Let me tell everybody the book is Steel Decks and Glass Ceilings, and I have my copy right here. I believe it's available. Where do you go to get this, Jim?
Well, there are several places. They're all online. Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and then several other booksellers online. And then if they want a signed copy, they can go to my website, and I have a page for books. And under Steel Decks and Glass Ceilings, you can order a signed copy. It's a little bit extra because I got to pay for shipping and taxes, but those are the primary ways of getting the book.
Well, let me tell you, it's been raining a little bit here this morning in Lebanon, Tennessee. What's the weather like in San Diego where you are?
Cooler than usual. We actually had some rain, which is most welcomed out here. I don't know if your listeners know this, but we have average rainfall of 10 inches a year.
Wow.
And it's been short of that for the last, probably 10 years. So we like the rain, but right now it's cool. But we may have 2 frost delays during the year.
All right, we're going to go to a break in a couple of minutes here. I want you to take the next couple of minutes, talk a little bit about growing up here. We'll get to your book when we come back from the break, but you have written so much about your time growing up here, playing football at Lebanon Junior High, I believe it was called, and then going to Castle Heights. You had a prominent family here, your father and mother, well-known, wonderful people. Tell us more.
Well, Coleman, to be honest, I think that it was a magic place. I hope it's still the same way, but it was really a small town, and I had a lot of freedom to do a lot of things, and I loved the place. It's just, I walked to school. Junior high was one of the best experiences of my life, sports and academics. And we were Methodist, and we were big members in the church there, and I love that. And of course, J. Bill Frame, the publisher and editor of the Democrat, for years and years and years, lived across the street from us. So I got some interest in newspapers in that way, and that's how I ended up being a journalist or a columnist for the Democrat.
All right, let me say one thing that I remember. It might be the first time I ever saw you, really. But when I was in high school, every Wednesday we had in our homeroom time for 30 minutes, we would go to the auditorium and have a program. And one day, you and Henry Harding came over, and you sang this song, "Catch a Falling Star and Put It in Your Pocket, Save It for a Rainy Day." You remember that?
Well, I do, and Henry still gets mad at me for making him do that. But it was Mrs. Gwaltney's idea, and Mrs. Gwaltney was the music teacher at the high school, and I had taken piano from her, and she suggested we do that. And of course, not having any sense, we did it.
Well, you did a good job, and what I remember about it, you were smiling and almost laughing during the whole thing. And Henry, I won't say he didn't smile much; he wasn't frowning, but you could tell you were enjoying it a little bit more than he was.
I don't think he really enjoyed it at all.
All right, Jim, it's time for us to take a break. We're going to talk about Jim's book, Steel Decks and Glass Ceilings, when we come back. So stay with us here on Coleman and Company FM 98.9.
And to 746, let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $49.95, up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal. Tire rotation safety check to 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Trying to clear up this crash. It's been over here for a while. It should be back open soon on 440 eastbound on that ramp there to Murphy Road West. In heavy traffic on 24 coming out of Rutherford County up through the Hickory Hollow area. Heavy, but moving in from Wilson County this morning on I-40 as you arrive there in the Hermitage, the Donaldson area. Again, give yourself extra time out here this morning. Princess Hot Chicken can help you with catering during the holiday season. Check them out online today at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
When you needed portable heating, cooling, generators and remediation equipment, contractor tools, or any other equipment or solution to help you get the job done, you trusted Absolute Rental and Supply. Now that same team brings you more equipment and more solutions as Herc Rentals. From construction and industrial to HVAC and homeowner, Herc Rentals has the gear and expertise to get jobs done efficiently, effectively, and safely. Visit us today at 1325 Main Street in Lebanon or online at hercrentals.com. That's HERCrentals.com.
This week marks the longest road trip the Titans have all season at SoFi Stadium Sunday. Your Titans take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Titans Countdown is a special start time of 2 Central. Then kickoff of Titans and Chargers happens at 3:25.
Brought to you by Fakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, The Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas in Tennessee. 811, call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
Coleman and Company, we thank you for joining us. Jim Jewell is on the line this morning. Jim Jewell, who grew up in Lebanon, went to Castle Heights. We already talked about that. He's written a book called Steel Decks and Glass Ceilings, and it's about your time, part of your time, serving our country in the U.S. Navy. So take us kind of to beginning and go from start to finish here on your book, why you wrote this and maybe what purpose you were wanting to accomplish.
Well, the generation of the book came, I was the executive officer, which is number 2 in command of a ship that does maintenance, the USS Yosemite, which is a destroyer tender. And I ended up going there reluctantly, and it was right when women at sea became the way to go, and we were integrating women on ships' crews. And we were one of the first. In fact, the Yosemite was the first ship with women as part of the crew and wardroom to spend extended out of port time on the deployment we were on. And it was a huge success. But it was, the women were still under the gun for being tested, to see if it was going to work. And I was talking to my captain, and I were talking to one of our officers, trying to tell her what to do next. And I remember very clearly thinking, that's really a glass ceiling. And of course, we were on steel decks, and that created the title in my mind. And then 40 years later, I published a book about it. And it's mostly about how the women were integrated onto the ship. It was a huge success. And there were lots of other things that I thought would be interesting to people. And so that's where it started.
Well, what are some of the problems that you encountered having women there that you didn't have prior to that?
Well, we'll start with birthing. we had to create a birthing space for the women that was separate from the men's, and that on older ships that just didn't happen. And we resolved that, and it was relatively easy. The biggest concern was what the term is fraternization of men and women in the crew becoming interested in each other romantically. Mm-hmm. And that's put it mildly. and it worked for us. And one of the biggest reasons it worked was the captain, and early on in the crew, declared that we didn't have women on the ship. We didn't have men on the ship. We had sailors on the ship, and we were going to treat everybody that way. So that was probably the biggest problem. But we were constantly aware of and tried to minimize any kind of attraction between the sailors.
Well, how long did this go on?
Well, I was the executive officer for 2 years, but the deployment, we went from Mayport, Florida, Jacksonville, to the Indian Ocean. That lasted not quite 7 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is primarily, I've got your book. I'll be honest, I haven't read it from cover to cover, but I've read different parts of it. I think that was that's really what your book is mostly about is the time spent there, some of the situations that you encountered and your solution to problems that developed. That's a lot of what your book is about, right?
Oh, yes. I decided that there were a lot of other reasons besides just the women and including them in the crew that would be interesting. And we went to Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia itself is very interesting. It's part of an archipelago in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and I mean in the middle of the Indian Ocean, about 1,500 miles from anywhere else. It's a U.S. naval base on British territory, and it's called the Footprint of Freedom because it's a very small island with a lagoon in the middle. And then we went up to Masir, Oman, and anchored out, and it produced all sorts of difficulties. But the biggest thing was, Coleman, is we did maintenance on the combatants that were in the Indian Ocean. And we did, I think it was 17 what would back in the States would require 2 weeks, and we were doing them in 4 days.
Wow.
We did that continually, once for 55 days and the next time for 45 days off of Oman, which is not the friendliest place in the world.
What were there any particular problems that came about when you would have shore leave?
Well, that was one of our rules, and actually, one of the rules we had is that you couldn't show affection between any crew member. We didn't distinguish if you were on the ship or in the control of the ship, like where you got your Liberty boats and where you came back to the ship and the piers that we were on, and but what happened on the Liberty at the port? We had Liberty in Palma de Mallorca, in the Mediterranean, Mombasa, Kenya, and Kismayo, Somalia. And what we discovered that was totally unexpected, the women made that Liberty better, and that the guys, back before women were on board, they would go to the bars and the red light districts and drink too much and get in trouble. And I'd never been on a ship without a major Liberty incident in a foreign port. We had none. And that's because the women, they went to the beach and they went shopping. They went on tours, and all the guys followed them. So we minimized any kind of problems that we used to have on ships.
Well, I think you bring all of this out very well in the book, and I'm glad we could talk about that here. Now, if somebody's looking for a gift idea, I think steel decks and glass ceilings, and especially if you have a recipient that likes to read or would be interested in knowing the story here, this would be wonderful. I bought mine at Barnes & Noble, and it was very easy online and pay with a credit card, and I got it right after it came out. I'm thinking it was August of this year, in that neighborhood. And Jim, I think you've done a really great job. It's a good read, and I would recommend it for anybody, and I hope that a few people who are listening will take advantage of our suggestion here this morning and make your getting up 2 or 3 hours early in San Diego worth your while.
Well, I'm an early riser anyway, Coleman. One thing I'd like to point out, if you've got time.
Oh, we've got about 4 minutes.
Okay, well, one of the most surprising things to me is things I'd never thought about as being necessarily interesting. It was just part of telling the book. Is many of the people that have read it said, "Boy, I didn't know what it was like being on a ship at a Navy ship at sea," and so they really enjoyed that part of it.
All right, I want to spend the rest of our time. I want to talk more about your career in the Navy. We could start at the beginning here. Why did it even start? You had been to Vanderbilt. You had been, I believe, to Middle Tennessee State. Maybe graduated there, but I don't remember all of your life history here. But all of a sudden, you were working out here. This was the middle '60s, and you decided to go to the Navy.
Well, I did graduate from Middle Tennessee. It was in '67, and I discovered that I was 1A in the draft. Mm-hmm. And I decided I'd rather be in the Navy than be in the Army. So I requested and eventually got, with the help of Joe Evans, by the way, to get into the Navy and go to Naval Officer Candidate School.
Okay.
And from there, I actually got out after my second tour and was sports editor of a newspaper in Watertown, New York, way upstate. And then I got back in and stayed the rest of the time. And I'm proud to say that I was on 10 ships. And I only had 2 shore tours, which was heaven for me, but not necessarily a career-enhancing way to go about it.
Well, you still, no doubt, have fond memories of growing up here in Lebanon. You've written so much about it. And I've just, you have a blog that you do from time to time. You haven't been writing long ones lately, but that is very interesting. I'm glad to be able to read those from time to time. And
well, Yes, and I'm getting better. Most of my time since publishing the book has been working on marketing it and selling it. And when I went to Vanderbilt and talked to their athletic department, Naval ROTC, and then I went to, the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island. And so I've been doing things of that nature, and that's really slowed down the book. But I'm through for a while anyway, and I'm writing more on the website.
When are you coming back to Lebanon, or do you have any plans to come this way?
I'm hoping to get back at least once this spring, if not more. We're actually, my family has been going to Signal Mountain to have Christmas with my sister since '92. And we're going there, but it's such a short stay because we have things we have to do back here. But hopefully it'll be this spring when I get back and spend a little bit more time and see all the people I didn't see the last time, including you.
Well, I hope so. You are a very patriotic American. You have a hill behind your house. I've seen pictures of it, and you have a flagpole. I think, don't you go up there and raise Old Glory every morning?
I used to. Now I have a light, so I don't do it quite as frequently as I used to, because having a lighted flag is according to the U.S. flag code, and it's a good trek up there. It's a very steep hill that I have to go up to, but it's a prominent landmark in the community now, and people often compliment me, so I'm sort of obligated to keep it up there.
All right, we got about 30 seconds. I want to wrap it up by reminding everybody your book is called Steel Decks and Glass Ceilings. It's available through Barnes & Noble, available on Amazon, and nominal price. And if you get an autographed copy, you pay a little bit more for that one, I believe, but it is available. And Jim, I want to thank you so much for taking time to be with us this morning. I've enjoyed our conversation. Certainly wish you well and hope you sell a lot more books.
Thank you very much, Coleman. I appreciate being on it. It was a great return. I know it's want now, but our days at WCOR are still well remembered.
All right. Thank you very much. Jim Jewell, my guest, and that's it for a Wednesday. I hope you'll join us tomorrow for Coleman & Company. Till then, I wish you a wonderful day.